mine size is 40, so please keep one t-shirt for me.
Aur Meher Baba ki
Baba
jai.
ki jai.
Meher Baba ki jai, yes.
Let's start with the three prayers. Ashok ji, you can start with the universal prayer. Norm, you can do the repentance, and I will do the beloved God. Meher
Jai
Baba ki
Baba.
jai.
Thank you.
Or Mama ji will do beloved.
Okay. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Universal prayer. O Parvardigar, the preserver and protector of all, you are without beginning and without end, non-dual, beyond comparison, and none can measure you. You are without color, without expression, without form, and without attributes. You are unlimited and unfathomable, beyond imagination and conception, eternal and imperishable. You are indivisible and none can see you. But with eyes divine, you always were, you always are, and you always will be. You are everywhere, you are in everything, and you are also beyond everywhere and beyond everything. You are in the firmament and in the depths, or manifest and unmanifest, on all planes and beyond all planes. You are in the three worlds and also beyond the three worlds. You are imperceptible and independent. You are the creator, the Lord of Lords, the knower of all minds and hearts. You are omnipotent and omnipresent. You are knowledge infinite, power infinite, and bliss infinite. You are the ocean of knowledge, all knowing, infinitely knowing, the knower of the past, the present, and the future, and you are knowledge itself. You are all merciful and eternally benevolent. You are the soul of souls, the one with infinite attributes. You are the trinity of truth, knowledge, and bliss. You are the source of truth, the ocean of love. You are the ancient one, the highest of the high. You are Prabhu and Parmeshwar. You are the beyond God and the beyond God also. You are Parabrahma, Allah, Ilahi, Yazdan, Ahurmaz, and God the Beloved. You are named Izzat, the only one worthy of worship. Given by Meher Baba on 13 September 1953, Avatar Meher Baba ki jai.
Baba ki jai. The prayer of repentance. This prayer was dictated by Meher Baba in 1952. We repent, O God, most merciful, for all our sins, for every thought that was false or unjust or unclean, for every word spoken that ought not to have been spoken, for every deed done that ought not to have been done. We repent for every deed and word and thought inspired by selfishness, and for every deed and word and thought inspired by hatred. We repent especially for every lustful thought and for every lustful action, for every lie, for all hypocrisy, for every promise given but not fulfilled, and for all slander and backbiting. Most especially also, we repent for every action that has brought ruin to others, for every word and deed that has given others pain, and for every wish that pain should befall on others. In your unbounded mercy, we ask you to forgive us, O God, for all these sins committed by us, and to forgive us for our constant failures to think and speak and act according to your will. अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय।
Avar Meher Baba ki jai. Prayers for Baba's lovers and Mandli. Beloved God, help us all to love you more and more, and more and more, and still yet more, till we become worthy of union with you, and help us all to hold fast to Baba's Daman till the very end. Avtar Meher Baba ki jai.
जय। अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय।
बाबा की जय।
अवतार मेहर बाबा
मेहर
की
बाबा।
जय। So, just a quick feedback. Maybe when we are doing the prayer, you don't have to read all the titles and given by Baba and all that, especially the three prayers. So we just do them as we do it in, say, Samadhi, or when you do it at your altar. So just read the three prayers without the titles, and Avatar Mahal Baba Ki Jai happens in the last, the beloved God.
Okay, Jai Baba, noted.
Just for future, yeah, just for future, so that it comes like a prayer completely. Jai Baba.
Noted.
Okay. Yeah. Now, yes. So, where are we? We finished 24 sessions. We are reading about the the third pass of the whim. And we just finished the whim, and we were trying to understand the nature of consciousness during and around the process of the whim. So, what I noticed was in our eagerness to continue the reading, we went past the chart, but we didn't actually spend some time on the chart. So, let's just quickly, just let's dwell on the chart a little bit, yeah, and then see how it relates to what we remember from our last session, and then continue from page, I think it was 80, I think. Yes. Yeah, 80. Okay. So is that a good way to start?
Yes.
Yes. So if you look at this, this is chart 2, and the first one is the beyond God. It's the ease state. So it's also called the ease state, and it's unconscious of self. That is, God in this state is unconscious of self, biggest self, and of illusion. In fact, illusion is not even existent or has not yet happened, right? Then you have the beyond God, conscious of biggest self, and the three infinite aspects, which is knowledge, power, and bliss. And three are also infinite, but unconscious of illusion, no pattern or design, since there is only oneness. So there are two, three things that we have to register here in the difference between beyond God and beyond God. So beyond God has consciousness, whereas in this state, there is no consciousness, zero. So here there is consciousness of biggest self, and only illusion is not connected yet, right? And there is only oneness. So if you take the ocean analogy, which fits, so how would you describe these two states in the ocean analogy? Anybody?
So no, beyond God is the ocean in the depths, which doesn't have any sort of turbulence or anything. So it is almost still.
Okay,
Whereas
then what would you say for the second one, beyond?
beyond state is the say stillness of the ocean on the periphery, on the top of it, which we can visualize. So it is also not having any turbulence as of now. but it has consciousness. So what do you mean by consciousness here?
Analogically, we don't know. Yes.
We don't know.
Perfect. I think that's a good way of that's what I would make of this as well. I don't know if there is a better way to interpret it analogically. So both states are the still ocean, and I think in some way the beyond God state is the still ocean, but with more stillness. So I like the word you used. Maybe it's the depths of the ocean where there's no surface also, and so on and so forth, right? Rather than just a still ocean. The second one is very clear. It's just still ocean. The ocean without a single ripple, the drops are not identified. It's just continuous ocean for all you can see. It's just ocean. So that's beyond God. Now let's go further.
So basically, the first two states are like a placid ocean, is absolutely calm.
Yes, both are still ocean. Correct. Both are absolutely calm. There is no flutter. There is no ripple. There is far from any waves, and there is no identification of the drops. So no big S selves at all. Right? Then this is the next stage where let's start from the bottom. The original whim has surged. Okay, God, as creator, preserver, and destroyer, manifested with his paraphernalia. Now, what is paraphernalia? I think the suggestion here is that they are in full uh, capabilities, full competence, which is the roles of creator and creator, preserver, destroyer are completely enabled where they can do all the tasks, which is basically the illusion is in full flow and knowledge, power, bliss is fully available as a faculty to the three roles of God: creator, preserver, destroyer. So, what else is being said here? Conscious of illusion, unconscious of biggest self. So, now this is where the drops are visible. Firstly, the if you go back to the analogy, why don't we discuss that? Any thoughts? So, how does the analogy slip into the third stage? How would we see it?
One point here in the diagram, whole diagram, if you see, so the X mark or the point of origin of whim is made at the first line, that is between the original whim and the beyond God, beyond God and beyond God. So how to fathom that is a bit difficult for me, because we thought it is at the second line.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's a very good point. It's coming here, but the identity and the roles of creator, preserver, destruction happens only here. So let's see if that's brought out in the text that we understand. But please note, here is where the whim surges. And only when the whim surges, you make the transition even from beyond to beyond. And even without the identification of the individual souls, even without the existence or the faculties of the creator, preserver, destruction having been started, the whim has actually surged. Second stage.
Yes.
So, Jai Baba, what are these three infinite aspects? One second. Can you just take it up, please?
Yeah. Knowledge, power, bliss.
Okay.
That we read last time also. Knowledge, power, bliss.
Yeah, okay. And
Yeah.
in the beyond state, he's totally, it's like he's in sleep or he's not awake.
Placid, yeah.
Placid, yes.
Latent. Everything is latent. Everything is quiet. There is nothing.
Yeah, correct.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
let's continue.
And I have made a note in this diagram in the text, which I have fished out yesterday and brought it out. And just put a word on that. Vedas point out the original BIM or the beyond God. That's what I've written to remember what I mean. And then the God state, that is the beyond God.
This one.
Below that we have the God state, creator,
Yeah.
preserver, destroyer. So there I have made the note that Puranas come at this level. So all our Puranas are projected or written or explain this area of God.
Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh.
Mahesh. Creation and mundane world is in illusion, total illusion.
Correct.
I don't know. I have made that note sometime. Okay.
There's also a description here where it says same pattern and design, but innumerable and varied forms of display.
Display.
So here the reference seems to be that there is the broad rules of order, there is an order, and yet there is diversity. So order seems to suggest the kingdoms, order seems to suggest the species, and the limitations of each of those species, the evolution of the consciousness, and so on. But the diversity says that let's take the worm kingdom. In the worm kingdom, there are long worms, short worms. Within a species, there is uh, well-built worms, weak worms, worms that are smart, worms that are less smart, and so on and so forth. So there is inherent diversity, but there is a pattern and design. Right? So with that, let's go back and let me show. Yeah, this is the reference, Ashokji. In the last reading we read, the triune nature is power, knowledge, and bliss.
Yeah,
Can
okay.
you see the, yeah. Okay, so let's continue from this point where if you remember, we pushed it back by a couple of paragraphs so that there's continuity, though we had read a little lower. Okay, Tar Meher Baba ki jai. Let's start. Eventually, consciousness does make God realize his own reality after that same consciousness has attained complete maturity. Consciousness is fully matured to realize big R reality only after it is nurtured by the apparent awareness of the false. This awareness of the false as real becomes so intensified during the course of the evolution of consciousness that the consciousness, steeped in false awareness, makes God aware only of the false, which is experienced by God as the real. That is, God, as creator, falsely experiences the manifestation of the nothing as real and everything. Read the last line again in my style. That is, God as creator falsely experiences the manifestation of the big nothing as real and as the big everything. Right? So, this is, I think, clear. If anybody has any questions or comments, basically it's the wrong identifications, identification with the illusory world as being real. And when you're in that state, you really think that we, so all of us, I can safely say, are in this state, right? So we are experiencing and we see this as real. I continue. In order that the latent consciousness of God in the God is state should make it possible for God to realize his own eternal reality, the projection of that latent consciousness in everything, which, when projected outwards, becomes focused on the false infinity of nothingness, should be withdrawn inwardly. I'll read this line without the words in brackets so that it helps us understand better. In order that the latent consciousness of God in the God is state should make it possible for God to realize his own eternal reality, the projection of that latent consciousness in everything should be withdrawn inwardly. So all Baba is hinting is the start of the inward journey, start of involution. So in order that the latent consciousness of God in the God state should make it possible for God to realize his own eternal reality, the projection of that latent consciousness in everything should be withdrawn inwardly. Yeah. By such an inward withdrawal, the focus of the same consciousness becomes centered on the infinity of everything, from which it had projected outwards and given rise to the experience of infinite nothingness rather than the experience of the infinity of everything. So you focus on the infinity of every. So though you're going inward, your focus is basically centered on the infinite nature of big everything, infinite nature of bigger reality, infinite nature of God. As said before, when the projected consciousness withdraws inwards or undergoes full and complete involution, that nothingness, which was once experienced as reality, automatically vanishes for the consciousness which is now focused completely on the eternal reality of the infinitude of God. I repeat, as said before, when the projected consciousness withdraws inwards or undergoes full and complete involution, that nothingness, which was once experienced as reality, automatically vanishes for the consciousness which is now focused completely on the eternal reality of the infinitude of God. So now we are focusing on the real thing. In short, there is no new consciousness to be attained to realize reality, the eternal. It is the same consciousness latent in the everything, which, when it emerges out of the nothing, first gradually evolves and, associating with the nothingness, then experiences the nothingness as real. When the evolution of this consciousness is complete and full, the same consciousness makes God experience the false nothingness which expands ad infinitum as real and infinite. Again, when the same full and complete consciousness reaches full and complete maturity through its own involution, it realizes infinite reality as the only reality and gives God the experience of his own real and eternal infinite state. Pause here. Any comments or questions? It's just a repetition of the same idea, but any thoughts we can discuss? Okay, so let's continue.
It is the same idea, but the complexity of the whole evolutionary process from the, say, single-celled organism upwards till human life emerging from this evolutionary process. What was the need for this? So can we have any idea what was the need of doing all this?
The need for big G God, it was just Leela. It was just a whim.
Yes.
The need for the physical construct for going through this, you have that is the need for consciousness to be fully developed. So
Yeah.
in the single cell organism, consciousness is very, very weak, feeble. In gas, it's almost latent. Then in the elements, it slowly gets some more consciousness. Then in the single cell, then in more physical form, also the consciousness becomes more and more vivid and clearer. It reaches the peak in the human form after it goes through all the seven kingdoms. And the objective is only with full consciousness will you complete the process of involution and reach God realization.
Yes. Then where do we link the sanskaras in this process?
So without sanskaras, you will not be able to. So what is evolving? What is evolving and what is going through this journey is the same soul. So the same soul that goes through this process from the gas to the human needs to carry forward something or needs an element of continuity across the forms. One is the mental body. The second, with the mental body, is the idea of uh, uh, collected impressions. So that's the sanskaras. And they are necessary but not required in the end. Necessary so that you are able to move from ant to animal to better and better animals, so that you are able to move along and you have existence which has meaning. But once you reach the human state and once you start the involution process, you have to work on getting rid of those sanskaras because they are actually hindering your ability to see bigger reality.
Yes.
I don't know why I'm answering. Everybody else also can. Yeah.
uh, the need for sanskaras. What is the need for sanskaras? I feel, say, there are two words which come to my mind. One is desire, the other one is aspiration. So, desire is a bit of negativity, whereas aspiration is a bit of positivity. So, to say your consciousness is at one level in a worm stage. So, you try to aspire for a higher capability in you, which you do not have at that point of time. So, in your developmental revolutionary process, so that aspiration moves you further. But the what is clinging to is the desire of that life in the worm itself. So that is clinging to you, but you aspire for slightly higher activity which we can try to do. That is the progress of the consciousness. That is the progress of, say, widening scope of consciousness at that level. So similarly, this moves ahead. So we need aspiration, but we don't need the desire. We need to give up all these desires. But we have come to the peak or pinnacle of aspiration in the human stage, which is the full development of consciousness. That's how I see this process. Hey, Baba.
Mamaji, you asked what is the need of sanskaras? What was your question exactly?
No. Why this
What is the
unicellular
role?
organism?
Can you repeat your question?
No, why this unicellular organism wants to become a multicellular and then a highly functional then capable organism as a human being. What is this drive which moves you ahead from this level to the, as we know today, that is the highest evolved animal or the human being? So
Basically,
for this question, there are two things. One is the desire at each level of your development, and then the aspiration to go beyond or try to achieve something better than what you are able to right now. So that makes this movement from stage to stage. And what clings to you is the desire which you had accumulated at each level of your development. So at the level of the pinnacle of aspiration, you have to realize that you have to give up these desires, and your aspiration has also reached the pinnacle. So you have, that is the evolution or the evolving of highest level of consciousness in the human form. So the involution starts when you start realizing this and then start giving up all the desires. So one by one, gradually over a period of, say, life stream, that is birth and death. Uh, so that's what happens, I feel. Jai Baba.
Let me muddy the water. Let me muddy
Yes,
the water a little. I'm actually muddying based on your first question. So why does the single cell, okay, let's not say why does the single cell organism. Now let's say there were no sanskaras. What happens to the single cell organism? Let's think about it.
yes, that is what. Who am I is the question. We start this process with all that. So when
Correct.
we say, who am I, you know that you are God, but you are unable to remember that, unable to focus on that. So because of that,
Why?
you start asking.
Yeah, but
Because
why are you
you are,
not able to focus?
because you don't have that consciousness. You were
Exactly.
unconscious, and then the
Exactly.
spark of this consciousness, partial consciousness, is the whim, and you start this process of questioning and get them in this process. You get some capabilities, like say, as a unicellular organism, you get a capability of say life process. uh, so you feel
Survival.
you start enjoying that, and then that is your starting point for desire. So whim leads to desire, and desire pushes you to aspire.
Hmm. Okay.
This process
Higher,
goes on
higher,
like
higher, higher type of need, higher type of
yes,
desire is
yes.
aspiration. Now, if this single cell organism didn't have sanskaras, what happens?
No, it keeps living at that level. Uh,
Yes.
yes,
So if we
that
don't, if we remove sanskaras, there is no common thread that comes from single cell to human.
yes,
Sanskaras are that common thread that pushes you forward.
yes,
Now, next question that can obviously come up is why is it pushing you forward? Because what you said already in the last few seconds, which is there is a latent urge and the need to answer that question, which is not even recognized by that. Forget the single cell organism. Even most humans don't discover the reason for their human birth till you're ready for involution. Till then, you
yes,
just go through like a single cell organism doing stuff. But latent in your mind is that question and the urge. At
yes,
the right ripening of the sanskaras, the latency goes away and it becomes real, and the involution comes to full glory.
yes,
I mean, the question comes to the fore.
yes, yes. So
So
this is
your questions help me
one of the reasons.
understand this better. Okay.
No, this I feel is one of the reasons why we have this multitude of evolutionary forms still available. If a single cell unit aspires further and goes further, that particular stage should end. But some of majority of the single cell living organism do not aspire for beyond no further aspiration. So they live as it is. The same thing as
Correct.
what you told in the human, say,
Early human
stage
forms.
also, there are multiple people who don't aspire further, who don't question, who don't say, try to go ahead in consciousness. So they remain as it is. So they will have multiple cycles still to go ahead for aspiration to start off and then move you ahead into involution.
Perfect. It's almost become a dialogue. Others, I hope everybody agrees. Yeah,
Or
I'm
just
further
sorry,
inputs on there.
I came a little late. I'm sorry. What is the question you're discussing about? I'm kind of lost. I've been listening to you
okay.
last 5 minutes.
Yeah. I think we are just questioning some basics on why sanskaras and what is driving this single cell organism through the process of consciousness. I mean, through the process of evolution and then finally involution.
So I use two
What is
terms.
the answer?
One,
What is the answer?
no,
Answer is
that's
what you
why.
heard now. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I use two terms. One is what is sanskaras are desires, and
Desires
the
and
other one is
aspirations.
aspiration. So
Hmm.
aspiration is which makes you move ahead, question, and then move ahead. And desires keeps you still stuck at that particular stage of your development. So this aspiration or the desire clash is what we are seeing. Those who do not have aspiration, they remain in the same state as whatever they are, either animal or worm or human being also. But those who have the aspiration to know better, uh, try and realize that my desires are my hindrance, they move ahead. So they pass on to the involution level.
Supplement 1 and 2, if you read them, supplement 1 and 2, they gave the reason, Baba gave the reasons why somebody enters into the involution. We go through a lot of suffering and also we go through a lot of happiness, but we never complain about the happiness, the happy moments. We only pay much attention to the sufferings.
Yes.
So when the soul goes through these situations, it goes to the fundamental questions. Who am I? All these fundamental questions. Why am I suffering? Why am I happy? All these things. That is when the grass soul uh, tries to go above what it is used to, like reactions and actions and all those things. That is when the sanskaras get defined. That's when they enter into the involution path.
Yes.
Now, coming back to the first question, why sanskaras, right?
Yes.
Sanskaras are because uh, it experiences it individual soul, which became multiplicity. The single entity became multiple. Lot of drops were formed. Why the drops are formed? Because infinity is only one God, and infinite is infinity, and the nothing came from the most finite. So how many finites become infinite? Many, right? And it's just an imagination. That's why there are so many individual souls that experience as I'm
I
separate
don't
from God.
remember what they are.
I am
Namita, you have
not
to
God.
mute.
Okay, sorry.
So the individual soul goes through a fundamental imagination or belief or stance of I am not God. I am separate. That is where the unconscious part is. Because it's got mind. Mind is nothing but sanskaras. So because of I am not God, the sanskaras came. The sanskaras and consciousness came simultaneously. This consciousness is nothing but unconscious part of the God. And why did the sanskaras, why did this consciousness, why did this unconsciousness came about? It's a simple answer. It's the Vedanta answer is God wants to play an imaginary game, a dream game. That's all there is to it. God is always God. He never changed. This world doesn't exist. And Baba said, once you become God realized, you think, oh, I never existed. It was just an imagination. I'm always God. I am always God. Because there is no such thing as past, present, and the future. For God, there's no time. Only for us, for our consciousness, for our mind, the time exists and space exists. But for God, there's never a time. I think that's my 2 cents, Jawab.
I got my full $1. Good one. Not 2 cents. Thank you.
Okay.
Good summary.
Jawab.
Okay. So if there are no other questions, we can continue.
Yes.
Yeah. In short, there is no new consciousness to be attained to realize reality, the eternal. It is the same consciousness latent in the everything, which, when it emerges out of the nothing, first gradually evolves and associating with the nothingness, then experiences the nothingness as real. When the evolution of this consciousness is complete and full, the same consciousness makes God experience the false nothingness, which expands ad infinitum as real and infinite. Again, when the same full and complete consciousness reaches full and complete maturity through its own evolution, it realizes infinite reality as the only reality and gives God the experience of his own real and eternal infinite state. God, in his original state of infinitude, is eternally infinite through his infinite, unbounded, and unlimited trio nature of infinite power, infinite knowledge, and infinite bliss. As God eternally is, the only virtual difference between the original state of God and the new states of God that he acquires is that of the consciousness gained progressively through the impressions of the projected nothingness. Sanskaras are explained progressively through the impressions of the projected nothingness. So, if you read this line again, as God eternally is, the only virtual difference between the original state of God and the new states of God that he acquires is that of the consciousness gained progressively through the impressions of the projected nothingness. So he says that the consciousness is gained progressively through the impressions. So you go back to this chart, the no consciousness, consciousness but only of biggest self, and consciousness of nothing. And then process of evolution go through everything else. So this is, I mean, you if you look at this from this diagram perspective, sanskaras are where? In which stage are from which stage do you have sanskaras?
In the illusion state, when you have illusion.
I would say the moment this happens, sanskara, the first sanskara is born, and from there you have sanskaras.
Yeah, that's
Here
right.
there is nothing. From the whim, there is sanskara.
That is, I mean, you in this chart, yes, but for human beings, it will be illusion, right?
No, but then even we discussed how the single cell organism also has sanskara,
Mhm.
right? So you
Yeah.
don't have it's so to quote Baba again, he says consciousness gained progressively through the impressions. So the evolution of consciousness is through impressions,
Mhm.
and he goes through all the nothingness through these impressions. The thread of impressions. The thread of impressions is what the smallest soul is holding on to go through to become biggest soul or biggest self.
No, I think at least I'm getting confused because in
Okay.
the evolution, you from a from gas to a human being is the evolution, but God doesn't evolve, right? That's the
No,
top down.
God is unchanging.
So God is unchanging.
God is
So,
unchanging.
so the first three states are not relevant for the that's the beyond God, and all that. So the impressions are I mean, at least for a human being, it is starting in the illusion. Can you come to the diagram, please?
No, 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 no,
Human
no.
human being is sanskara. Only set of sanskaras. We are. There's no difference between you and a computer. You are a computer.
Let's correct.
You are a
I don't know about
material
that.
body. Your mind is also material. You are only sanskaras. Only time when you don't have sanskaras is when you get the
You're God.
nirvana. No, nirvana state.
Yeah, Nirvana state.
Before that, there is
Before
one more
getting God.
medium state. That is where you experience the divine vacuum state, where the consciousness becomes one with the infinite consciousness, and that consciousness also needs to get out. Divine vacuum needs to get out. All the sanskaras needs to get out, flushed out. I is the only one. Yeah, I is also flushed out, but I, when you experience nirvikalpa samadhi, God state, it becomes universal I. That means you will experience as one with every jiva in this entity.
No, no, we're jumping
Every,
ahead of ourselves. Hold on. Let's try to answer his specific question. Ashok,
Yes.
Ashok G. In the pre-human states, are, are you suggesting there is no impression?
No, I'm saying it is there. See,
Hmm.
in this chart, we are looking at a top-down approach. But
Okay.
what I'm saying is in the evolution from the gas to the human being, you do acquire organic and inorganic sanskaras, right? That's what.
Perfect. Perfect. Discourses has taught us
natural, and
natural
natural.
and
Okay,
unnatural sanskaras.
I mean natural and unnatural sanskaras. I
Yeah.
used the wrong word, the wrong uh, physiology or terms, but I meant natural and unnatural sanskaras. So that's where that's all the part in this chart of illusion, and then you progress to become when you have annihilation and you go to seventh plane, then you become God realized, and then that's the first stage, and then you can progress beyond that if you are having uh, the if your sanskaras or if you're basically if you are destined for that. But I would just restrict myself to the MOM or minimum mukti. So
नहीं नहीं नहीं
what I
आपका question क्या है impressions in human form you said you're now saying you are comfortable with the fact that there are sanskaras from the beginning, correct?
Yes, I'm comfortable with that.
Okay, done. That's all. Then we can get back to our reading. If I hope we are all on the same page, right? Okay. So God, I'll continue reading. God, in his original state of God is not conscious of his infinite eternal existence, nor of his own infinite nature, though he exists infinitely and eternally. That is this state. The first state is the is state. He's unconscious of self, but he's still infinite. But he's unconscious of that infinity. Due to his own infinite whim, God acquires the consciousness of his reality and realizes his infinite, eternal, unlimited, biggest self to experience his unbounded, unlimited, and infinite triune nature. Thus, God, now with his newly acquired state of eternal consciousness, is consciously and eternally aware of his original beyond the beyond state of God is, which is forever and ever conscious, unconscious of the infinitude of his own God is state. I repeat this line. Thus, God, now with his newly acquired state of eternal consciousness, is consciously and eternally aware of his original beyond the beyond state of God is, which is forever and ever unconscious of the infinitude of his own God is state. It's the same idea referred here, repeated. The infinitude of the state is not known to God. Therefore, the goal is to realize the eternal and infinite God state consciously.
This is where the whim or the lair arises, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
As already,
that only means that if he knows, when you know something, there is a difference, right? If you are that consciousness yourself, you do not know it. So that is that state that was being referred in the earlier sentence. Because
yes,
knowing is a difference. That is from there the whole process start and the whim start. So before that, he doesn't know what he is actually, because he is that.
correct.
Jai Baba.
So let's continue. As already described, the original state of God is that state of unbounded absolute vacuum where God is and consciousness is not. Again, that is clearly this state. Unconscious, but God is. So God is there, but there's no consciousness. This state is the original divine sound sleep state of God beyond the beginning of creation. Why is it beyond the beginning? Because there was no will, and there's no creation hence. The original infinite whim of God as the cause is responsible for breaking the spell of the original divine sound sleep state of God, and the result, which is creation, is called the effect. So the big cause is the whim, and the big effect is creation. In order to grasp clearly the divine sound sleep state and understand more clearly all that follows immediately after the original infinite whim surges in God, pestering him from the divine sound sleep, let the divine sound sleep state of God be compared with the sound sleep of man. This sound sleep state of man is literally the same original divine sound sleep state of God. God, in the God is state, is eternally in the original divine sound sleep state, whereas God in the human state daily experiences alternately the sound sleep state and the awake state. The infinite, impressionless, and formless eternal God experiences himself as finite, limited, inanimate, or animate forms or beings only because of the advent of the first, most finite impression of the nothing that manifested as nothingness. At one stage in the evolution of consciousness, the impressions of the nothing impart to God the experiences of the human state. These impressions of the nothing are just the procreation of the original most infinite first impression picked up by the most finite first ray of consciousness in God, made manifest simultaneously when the latent original infinite whim surged in God and projected the latent all of the most finite nothing as nothingness.
I think you need to read it. You misspelled something here.
Or did I? Sorry.
Okay.
Apologies.
Yeah,
This paragraph.
You read this again because you read it as most infinite. So I
Yes,
think
yes, yes.
Almost
read it.
finite. Okay.
Okay.
Very, very sorry. Let me read it again.
No, don't be
These,
sorry. It's just that we
yeah,
read again.
these impressions of the nothing are just the procreation of the original most finite first impression picked up by the most finite first ray of consciousness in God, made manifest simultaneously when the latent original infinite whim surged in God and projected the latent all of the most finite nothing as nothingness. So the two finites are the first impression is most finite, and at that time, the most finite first ray of consciousness. Because at that stage, consciousness is almost non existent.
Yes.
But both of those project and then bring out nothing as nothingness.
But here, what is the importance of this term? Latent, original, infinite whim.
Uh, where was the whim in the God is state? In the divine uh, sleep state, where is the whim? Was it there? It was later.
Latent. But infinite whim. What do you mean by infinite whim?
Yeah,
Whim,
this is the second
we
time.
take it
I
as
think,
a point of emergence, which is a finite aspect.
Correct. That
But why
is,
it is called infinite whim?
that's confusing.
you
In
know, you know,
fact,
I'm
this is the
thinking,
second time. Yeah,
I'm thinking the whim, latent whim
second time
is,
this happens here. Infinite whim came 3 paragraphs back also. So that also confused me. Because why is the whim infinite? Yeah, sorry, Ravi.
no problem. I'm thinking this infinite whim came from nothing. That came from the latent
Infinite
nothing.
whim. No. Infinite whim is not coming from nothing.
Because it
Infinite
came,
whim.
whim came only from nothing. That's what I'm thinking.
No.
Because whim doesn't
Whim
exist in
came from.
latent. It's not God is. God is state is Parabrahma state.
Correct.
I
So
don't think
where was the whim in
latent,
that state?
there
So
is
the
no whim in that state. I don't know where you
correct.
saw it, but maybe I'm
No.
missing it.
It is latent. So
But
it's
where,
not. No. Baba
you,
says that. Baba says that very clearly.
Because
He
it
says
comes
that.
from that state. It has to be latent. If it was not latent, then
Correct.
how it will come out? You
no, it is
understand?
latent, but where does that exist? I think it exists
In the God is
only in the
state.
beyond
That's all.
state of God. Beyond state of God. That
Beyond
is,
state.
No, let me correct you, Ravi. Or let me ask you a question. When something is latent, does it exist? No.
yes, it exists. Yes,
No, it's latent.
latent meat exists, but not active.
Yeah, so it's debatable. So I would say
No, look at
its
the dictionary. What is
existence.
that?
No. It's not debatable. It's actually right what Mr. Ravi is saying.
Yeah.
Latent is existing, but it's
But
not
not active.
evident. It's not active.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
that
is
That
Vim?
latent,
Ah,
that
say
latent exists only in the beyond state. Everything is happening beyond state. Nothing is happening in the beyond states. The
No,
very
that's
prospect of having a
Ravi, you
whim
are correct and wrong in
touching.
both ways. And why, if you see the diagram, the whim starts at the borderline of beyond, and beyond state.
Wait, show
correct.
me that. Can you show me that picture?
Here, if you see the big picture, this is how it is. It's between beyond God and beyond God.
So
X,
from
what does
there
X mean?
onwards, the beyond
What does
God
that X
state.
mean?
The X means the Vim.
Original whim.
So let's see if beams in the will explains the latency of the will. Okay, of course, this is only doesn't talk about the latency of the will here. No, that's no, that's what I don't remember beams covering that.
But I'm kind of confused with that location of that X. I don't know. But the very fact that whim comes only in the home point.
Yes, that is the home
Yes,
point.
that is the home point.
Home point. Home point comes from nothing. Nothing comes from the beyond state, where the duality already there and the consciousness divides into two parts, unconscious part and conscious part.
Home point.
That's only because of the whim.
Ravi,
Otherwise, the question of whim does not come at all.
Okay, so now the question where we started, let's go back to that question. The question is, what is the latency of the whim? What does that mean?
Latency, that means it's not active.
Yes, it is
Okay.
there.
At one time, it was not active. When the creation started, it became active.
So does it exist or not? It exists.
it exists.
It
Yeah.
exists.
Okay.
It exists, and it's
Unmanifested existence.
yeah.
In the is state.
It
Is
exists,
state.
but it is dormant.
Correct.
No,
Dormant. Yeah, latent
that's
is
where
dormant.
my question came. My original question when you said God is, that is beyond state of God. God is here.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And this X, that small graded circle, is between beyond state of God and beyond state of God.
Yes. And your nothingness starts with that whim.
Yes.
It is not in the
Coming out
nothingness,
of that whim.
but it
Yes.
starts.
Yes.
So this
That's the subtle
vibration of whim starts creating the whole nothing and nothingness out of that.
No, in the God state, there's no duality.
Yes.
It's not like
Yes.
everything is there, nothing is there. But for us, because of the duality, we think nothing and everything is opposite to each other. But in beyond state of God, there is no duality. So nothingness exists in the everything.
Yes.
Everything, nothing is also part of everything.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely. Okay, so are we
So
all on the same
my
page?
question was, why this whim is referred to in the paragraph which we read right now as infinite whim. We always feel this whim is a point arising. So it is so very finite, it looks like. But why it is referred to as infinite vim here?
Can you go back to that picture? I think I see the title there, Infinite Vim, right there. I think, see, original Vim, beyond state of
Original,
God
now
is
there is a
caring.
expression
Uh,
here, surged as. Original
uh-huh.
vim surged and God
Oh,
has
there's
created
no infinite is there.
infinite. So Baba says infinite in two places. So this Mama spotted it when we were reading the previous lines. But even two paragraphs above, he says, in order to grasp clearly the divine sound sleep state and understand more clearly all that follows immediately after the original infinite vim. Okay. And the same thing comes here as well. Original infinite vim. So I'm actually going to mark it.
Only answer I'm getting right now is because God is infinite, the Vim that is connected with the God is infinite Vim. As I'm getting this as simple as that, that answer.
Another way I look at it is that every drop soul, as it emerges, is because of the vim. And so for each drop soul, there is a vim. From there, it starts off and then goes through the whole process of evolution. And then probably, if it is aspiring enough, it goes through the involution process. So because of that, this is referred to as infinite vim. So there are, for each drop soul, there is
a vim.
vim. Yes, probably that is the explanation.
That's a good interpretation. Very plausible and practical explanation.
Can you tell that Mamaji again, please?
No, if you say, if I imagine myself as a drop soul starting off in that zone of bifurcation between the beyond and the beyond state of God. So I went through the whole process of all this evolution. So like me, so there are so many in this group itself who have gone through that process. So each one had a vim. So that means vim is also infinite. It is not a finite, which starts off all the bubbles together to go through the whole process, but it is probably related to each individual soul.
Yeah,
I buy it. I removed my question. I totally agree with you. It's basically, see, the book we are reading is what does God speaks. It's the biography of the soul. But soul is in both individual, that is you and me, and everybody.
Yes.
There is multiplicity. So even the vim is actually, there is multiplicity because everybody goes through this. Every soul goes through this. So agree. Right? So it can't be one vim. It can't be one vim. One vim was for that one atom of gas that started the whole thing. Right? For you, there was another vim.
Yeah, that makes sense, Mamaji, because even though there is God, only one God, but you feel God, I feel God, everyone feels God. So that is infinite number of souls experiencing the same vim. So that is infinite.
Till we realize that we are all the same.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, I think that's good.
Yes.
That's good enough for us, I think.
Yeah. Let's continue. The original most finite impression multiplied and increased simultaneously and concurrently with the evolution of the most finite original trickle of consciousness. The multifarious and varied impressions so formed were experienced by the greater evolution of consciousness through multifarious and varied media of finite or gross forms because the impressions formed must necessarily be experienced by the consciousness. But for the consciousness to experience the impressions, suitable media were absolutely necessary. So the thread of consciousness takes us through experiences. The experiences needs suitable media, and the suitable media was also changing. And that caused the evolution. Thus, the evolution of consciousness goes on evolving further and greater consciousness in conformity with the evolution of gross forms of relatively higher and higher types, in order to experience the impressions gathered in conjunction with the preceding relatively lower types of gross media. So lower forms push you towards higher consciousness. For higher consciousness, you need higher forms. That's the dependent-independent relationship.
Yes.
In short, the most finite first impression of the original infinite whim surging in God gave to the unconscious infinite God the most finite consciousness. Gradually, varied impressions multiplied and increased and gained greater finite consciousness for God until eventually the evolution of consciousness was complete when the impressions of full consciousness gained identified God with human form. God, having now gained full consciousness in human form, the need no longer persists for additional or higher forms to evolve consciousness, as this consciousness gained is full and complete. During the process of the evolution of consciousness, the consciousness, while identifying God consciously with varied finite gross forms, inanimate and inanimate, was also simultaneously, though unconsciously, identifying God with his limited subtle form and his limited mental form. These forms, associated with the limited gross form of God in compact and homogeneous unconscious association throughout the process of evolution of consciousness from the very advent of the first original projection of the latent nothing in everything. So there is both the subtle and the mental.
And the projection of latent nothing in everything.
Everything. From the beginning. Okay. It is but natural that together with the evolution of greater and greater consciousness of God, the evolution of the limited and finite subtle and mental forms simultaneously takes place. Till in human gross form, the limited subtle and mental forms of God are fully developed. Though God has gained full consciousness in human form, and though the limited subtle and mental forms are also fully developed in human form, yet the full consciousness so gained is only of the gross, which gives experience only of the gross world. Hence, the fully gained consciousness is not yet conscious of the subtle and mental forms, nor does it consciously experience the subtle and mental worlds. This is the early births that one gains in the human form. In short, though God in the human state has gained full and complete consciousness, he is still not conscious of his limited energy of the subtle form, nor of his limited mind of the mental form. Much less is he aware or conscious of himself as the one indivisible, eternal, and infinite God with unbounded power and unlimited knowledge. At this stage, God is only fully conscious of his identity with human form and its varied gross aspects, and experiences in full only the gross world as an ordinary human being of the world in the form of man or woman. But the consciousness of man, together with his mental form as the mind, his subtle form as energy, and his gross form as the body, are all the outcome of the manifestation of the most finite nothing as infinite nothingness, which was latent in the God is state. In other words, the limited mind, the limited energy, and the finite body are all of the nothing. And the consciousness of the limited mind, the limited energy, and the finite body is also of the nothing. So till we gain and get into evolution of consciousness and involution, and then finally go through the planes, all of this belongs to the nothing. In man, the mind is the seat of desires and thoughts, energy is the seat of force and vigor, and the body, typifying happiness, is the seat of happiness and misery. Hence, these desires and thoughts, force and vigor, happiness and misery are respectively the finite aspects of the limited mind, energy, and body of man. So, these words, let's commit to memory. We are, I think, the combination is force and vigor, desires and thoughts.
You can read it once again.
Yes, I will do that.
Hey, how can happiness and misery connected to the body? I'm
Body.
thinking it's connected with the mind, right?
Yes.
Emotional part of it. Emotional part of the mind is experiences the happiness. Body embodies the mind, uses the
Hello.
vehicle body to experience, like somebody dances, if he's very happy. He activates the body. When somebody is mentally happy or mentally depressed, he lies down and sleeps.
Mm.
So, what do you guys think?
I agree. I'm thinking as well. So, happiness and misery are states of mind, is what I would think, like you described. But how is that associated with the gross and the body so directly? But let's reread as requested first.
Yeah.
In man, the mind is the seat of desires and thoughts. Energy is the seat of force and vigor. And the body, typifying happiness, is the seat of happiness and misery. Hence, these desires and thoughts.
Okay. Go ahead.
Hence, these desires and thoughts, force and vigor, happiness and misery are respectively the finite aspects of the limited mind, energy, and body of man.
All together.
What Ravi told now, I think the seat of desire and thoughts. So the outcome of desire and thoughts are happiness or
Happiness
misery.
and misery.
And that is experienced in the body. It is not experienced in the mind as such.
No. I think the body is the tool that mind uses. So it is written like that, and it seems to be the way that Samadhi is saying.
Yeah.
But body is a tool that
Sure.
mind uses, because if there is no mind, how will the body enjoy or suffer? The suffering and enjoyment happens in the body, but in the mind. But the tool to experience that happiness or misery or whatever is through the body.
Yes.
Mamaji,
Written as body.
I think it is experienced through the whole system. The whole system consists of energy, body, mind, and body together. Because when a person leaves the body, it experiences happiness and suffering in a mental way. When in the body, the experiences are different. To the whole system, I think it is different. Hence, these desires and
Well,
thoughts, force and vigor, happiness and misery are respectively the finite aspect of the limited mind, energy, and body of the man. Together, all three.
I mean, I just compare when I'm sleeping, my body is there, my mind is subconscious. Mind is off, turned off rather, if may say so. Then I cannot do any enjoyment, suffer or something because I'm sleeping. Only in the awake state, my mind experiences happiness and sorrows.
Yes,
So,
that's an
so,
example.
so
Yes.
Sanjay ji, when you are sleeping, you go into the you're beyond state of God, but you're not conscious of it. And in the first line it says, in man, the mind is the seat of desires and thoughts. So mind is definitely uh, carrying the desires and thoughts. You're not aware of it when you're sleeping, and also when you uh, drop the body, the impressions are registered or recorded in the mind, and that's
Yeah,
where. So,
correct. Your second part is what I'm trying to say. When even when the body is not there, the mind does the suffering and happiness after dropping of body, and by the time I take a new body. So
and
those 4 days period. Yeah.
absolutely, and that's the record which carries forward to the next body, and that is uh, arising from the sum total of sanskaras, or is what I understand. Correct me, anybody, if that is the wrong, or if that is not the correct understanding.
Seat of happiness and misery.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about it. I'm still not convinced of this, but obviously it's not a matter of convincing. It's a matter of aligning to what Baba is saying. He is correct. There's no two ways about it. We have to understand in what context thoughts and desires do not include happiness and misery. One of the things could be the expression. The expression of happiness and misery is only through the body.
Yes,
But then
that's right.
the experience is still in the mind is what I'm thinking, but I don't know. Let's think a little bit.
No,
No, actually, if you imagine, the mind is the place where the craving for these things start off. So the
Correct.
incitement is starting in the mind. But the
Correct.
actual experience of either happiness or misery is through the gross body. So that is when you sleep, you don't experience anything.
In deep
So
sleep.
there
Yeah.
may be craving still in the mind, which is latent, but the experience to happen, the gross body is required.
Mm. So when the gross body is not, I mean, let's say you're in the astral world between two birds.
Ah,
So there is desires and thoughts
yes.
and no happiness and misery. Correct?
No. You have happiness and misery without astral body. That is where you
Without the astral
experience hell
body.
and heaven.
That's what I
Hmm,
was
sorry?
going to. I was going to exactly there. So in the astral body, when you have the experience of heaven and hell, there you experience this again, and there is no body. So
Yes.
there's something to
Yeah.
think about.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no body.
Yeah, there's no
That's
body,
why,
but you
that's
have
why,
intensified and verified experiences of happiness and misery, which you have experienced in body.
So that I think we will have to
no,
keep it
That's
in
why when
mind.
they
And
say,
if you if you go if you go to
Jai Baba.
if you go to Listen Humanity, they have explained that happiness and misery are carried on in the mind when you are reincarnating. So it's all registered in the mind.
Jai
What
Baba, can I say
Yes,
something? Okay, you finish first. No, when they say that you should recite Baba's name or have good thoughts when you lose this body and you are in between births, I think that's a vehicle to ride on, to be able to, kind of get good birth and um, reduce the number of life cycles and stuff like that. So that's why they insist that the thought in your mind at the time of your death carries on into the astral body and kind of maybe gives you some kind of a scoring to get where you get to in the next life. So yeah, it was coming to my mind. I don't know whether it's as relevant as everything else, but this is what I'm thinking. Yeah,
No,
Baba.
good, very good point. Very good
Good
point.
point.
But it's specifically to your idea of this, the last thought that one has before dropping the body. I've always wondered what is the logic for it, and I still don't have an answer. So maybe what you're saying is right. But
See, this is what I'm thinking, Karthik.
yeah,
See, there is a picture in what is that Francis Babajan book? You
yeah,
read also
uh,
that book.
yeah, yeah.
There is a there is a picture from the mouth. Baba, Baba, Baba comes, and then all these
Mhm.
Babas are written. They go into the ear, right? Remember the picture?
No, I don't. Let me try to get it.
Uh, yeah, it's just a handwritten cartoon,
Yeah, yeah. It's
and the
I
Baba
remember
picture is
the
there,
line drawings. Yeah.
line drawing. There's a mustache also. You can certainly feel it's Baba. And from the mouth, the words are written, Baba, 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 and the flow goes into the ear. See, Baba also
Mm.
suggests to chant loudly, but we chant loudly when there is nobody. When I take a walk in the trail in the back, I chant Baba's name loudly, but when there's somebody coming, then I take it inside. I don't want to cause a disturbance. But chanting of it will your mind knows that whether you're chanting loudly or silently, your mind experiences that when you chant Baba's name, you have no other thoughts. You are busy in vocalizing Baba's name, and you are thinking about Baba. That's what we should do. And there are times you may be saying Baba's name and thinking something else too. But that's not the right way. The correct way of doing it is remembering Baba's form wholeheartedly and say Baba. That is the correct way of doing it. So you are training your mind for the Baba, for
This is the one.
the original self. What is original self apart from the sanskaras? That is the pure self, right? That infinite self we cannot imagine. Yeah, this is the one. Yeah, this is the one. Uh, the original self, you take out all the mental body, subtle body, and the gross body. What is left is the purity. Purity is love. So when you chant wholeheartedly, you are connecting with that entity within yourself. Otherwise, where is God? Some people say, hey, he's in the temple, or some people say he's in the picture. No, God is everywhere. We know that. We know that God is everywhere and everything. But most importantly, He's in our heart. Heart means what? The deeper aspect of the mind. So when you chant wholeheartedly, you are connecting with that deeper aspect of your mind, which is the purity. That is the God state. When the activities are stopped, when the desires are stopped, you are connecting that chanting with that self. That's what it is.
Hmm.
Jeva.
Interesting.
yes. both the aspects what Ravi told is depicted in the picture. The form of Baba also we have to
It's in the
visualize
eyes, yeah.
the eye,
Yes.
and the Baba sound also reaches the ear so that it goes to your mind. Okay.
See, whatever remembering Baba in the mind and chanting is, Baba said, is much more powerful than to be in my presence. That's what Baba said. We can understand that, right?
Yeah.
See, let's say we are all present before Baba. What do we do? We don't do this chanting to Baba. We look at him with awe, right? And Baba said
Yes.
that is also not important, looking with an honest. But remembering wholeheartedly is the way you can connect with, to activate that inner self power inside ourselves. Jai Baba.
Coming
Jai
back to
Baba.
that body and mind,
Innocent misery, yeah.
and then the experience of in the body. So this question still remains, because even if you take the example of Garuda Purana, it explains or tells that you are going to experience extreme agony if you have done something wrong in that astral phase. So when the body is not there, how do you experience this agony?
Yeah. That's what
That's
heaven
what,
and hell state
yes,
as per
we need.
discourses. Same thing.
We need to find the answer properly.
Yes.
Yes.
I agree. The humming has started. So it's
Yeah. Just,
so I will
I was
then
listening very
stop.
carefully to what Ravi was talking. That's the beautiful talk he gave. Loved it.
Okay, so we'll stop on this note, and please stay back to listen to uh, a rendition of which song, Sajayji?
I was thinking of singing Meher Tore Gun Gaun, Gavat Sudh Bisraun. That's
Sure.
Madhusudan's song. So I'm just trying to find it. Meher Tore Gun Gaun, Gaun, Gavat Sudh Bisraun. I lose my consciousness singing for you, singing your name. Meher Tore Gun Gaun, Gavat Sudh Bisraun. Meher Tore Gun Gaun. रटत रटत तोरा नाम मेहरबा रटत रटत तोरा नाम मेहरबा आवत चित निज धाम मेहरबा. My soul travels to its home. Avat chit nij dham. Dham means home. Yeah. Ratat ratat tora naam mehraba. Avat chit निज धाम मेहरबा. सतत सुख में रम जाऊं. मेहर तोरे गुण गाऊं. मसत भंवर में मन मोरा मेहरबा. I get entwined in the whirl of Maya. That's what it means. पसत भंवर में मन मोरा मेहरबा. भूलत है निज रूप सुंदरवा. I forget my true self. भूलत है निज रूप सुंदरवा. मधुसूदन पछता मिहिर तोरे गुण गाऊं गाऊं. गावत सुध बिसरा मिहिर तोरे तोरे गुण गाऊं. अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय.
And Baba TJ, thank you so much. Beautiful rendition.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, we'll call it a day, and all of you have a great week ahead. We have regular schedule for next week, but the week after that, maybe we'll call it off. We will decide. Yeah. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Meher Baba ki jai.
अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय.